are watching NGEN Radio, NGENradio.com. My name is Marcus in the morning, and this is an exclusive in the building, the problem child, Kurtis Hoppie. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Out here on the Problem Child Tour. Had to come by and see my boy Marcus Sullivan in the morning.
I definitely appreciate that, man. For those people who might not be familiar, they may hear some of your music, but I really want to dive in and go behind the music with Kurtis Hoppie. So, man, just introduce yourself to the brand new audience.
My name is Kurtis Hoppie, born and raised in Las Vegas, moved a whole lot of places, ended up in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah. How is the genre of positive hip hop music in Idaho?
To be honest, right now, like there's a big movement going on out there. Yeah. It's growing. It started from nothing, but it's like there's really wasn't a whole lot of anything going on at this point. Like the shows that we're throwing are bigger than any of the secular local shows as well. So now we've got secular artists that are like, man, how can I be a part of this? Or oh man, I love what you guys are doing. I just don't know if I'm ready yet. And it's just like you're seeing people like one of the dudes on tour with me right now, Vito O.T., came straight from the secular world, has songs with B.O.B. Like I've heard songs with B.O.B. from him, but decided, man, he gave his life to Christ. And it's cool. It seems like it's taking over.
Yeah, doing faith-based hip-hop or Christian hip-hop, what you may call it, or being of the faith, man. As we go behind the music and find out more about you, how was your upbringing with Christ? Because we know how easy it is. You can stray into secular anything nowadays, right? So take us back. Growing up, a young kid, Kurtis Hoppie, how were you with the faith?
So I was always, in my family, I was more of the person who was like a spiritual kid, but my family wasn't like a Christian home, you know? Okay. My mom grew up and went to Lutheran church and got confirmed. So she was like, I need to do that for my kids. So she gave us that option. She was more like hey, believe what you want, but I'm at least gonna just put it on the table for you. Yeah. So we went to Lutheran church. I never really understood exactly what was going on. I thought it was cool because they played some music and there was a bunch of kids there, you know, and kind of went through it. And in 8th grade, they confirmed me. And I remember being like, I can't believe they passed me. Yeah. I was like, I didn't even memorize one of those scriptures. Like, tricked them. Yeah. That's right, made it to heaven, baby. You know?
I love it. So that was you as a kid. Mm-hmm. Growing up, for a lot of us, we are influenced and we're kind of molded from our teenage days before we get into adulthood, mm-hmm. right? You found your faith, right? They affirmed you. You didn't know any scriptures, they still affirmed you. As a teenager, where were you like then growing up with the peers around you doing who knows what?
So I would say I was like, yeah, man, respect to Jesus. That's kind of who I was. So if somebody was to say something like horrible against Jesus, I'm like, what are you guys thinking? Yeah. You know, but I'm like, what y'all thinking, man? You know? Yeah. No, but I lost my dad at the age of 4. Wow. So I had a pretty rough upbringing growing up, just fitting in with people and understanding who I was. And I ran track growing up, and like I was really, really good, and at an early age I injured my knee, and suddenly I'm like, okay, who am I? I thought I was going to the Olympics, but now I'm growing up. I'm literally 11 years old having like a crisis. I was like a 15-time All-American, 2nd place in the Junior Olympics, and suddenly I'm slowing down. I'm getting slow, and I'm like, who am I? And so I'm like, okay, I need to have some sort of identity, and people just were not really like accepting me. I didn't really know how to deal with male figures and stuff like that, to the point where I was like, all right, I'm kind of tired of it. And I started playing games, like a bunch of video games, and that was kind of my getaway, you know? Yeah. And as I'm going through there, you know, you just keep on like slightly filling your heart with something, and then over time, just like most people in this world, you know, you're like, well, what about if I have some more of this, or I have some more of this and more of this, and before you know it, you look back and your life isn't, you know, where you want it to be. Yeah. And then I had a dude who I was rapping with that I was like, cause I was getting into like some of new age type stuff. I was thinking of like chakras and meditations, but I'm just trying to find peace, you know. And then I was like, bro, what if we meditate before we do this song?
app exclusive, Kurtis Hoppie, NGEN Radio, NGENradio.com. Man, do me a favor. When you were that teenager and you was in your crisis, what do you say to that generation now? There's a teenager out right now may think, man, Kurtis Hoppie, he doesn't know what we deal with, right? He doesn't know about the gangs in the school or teen pregnancy or whatever. Well, God gave you the grace to get out of that and become who you are today. But what do you say to a teen today?
You need to find something that you believe in, right? Like, for me, I look at games and I'm like, oh man, maybe I was destroying my life, but I also grew up in a Las Vegas, Eastside Las Vegas. My school was 4,000 kids, so I'm surrounded by everything. So in reality, I look back and I'm like, maybe these games or maybe these sports, maybe these are the things that actually helped me from falling into a life, and I could see it as a curse because I was wasting away a lot of the things in my life, but like, I feel like it might have kept me safe. So if you can, like, you find a sport, you find something that you believe in and go after it, and even greater if you understand your identity and you understand who Jesus is, like not only will you be able to play these sports and play these games and stuff, like you will actually become a leader. And whether they believe in your Jesus or not, they'll be like, yo, I believe in this person because look at their life, look at the way they're doing this. And before you know it, your team might be a state, and you have this value, and I needed value. I didn't know who I was, and that really kind of like held me down and gave me a lot of anxieties and fears, and just kept me trapped within myself, And when you know who Christ is and you have something that you're really going after and stuff like that, it kind of like fills you. It gives you a purpose in life, and it seems like the world has kind of tricked us out of trying to be anything.
Yeah. For those people that may be watching or hear your music, and I'm loving your testimony right now, we talk to the peers the teens. Man, talk to the unsaved right now, because they can hear your music, they can hear Space Dogs, they can hear some of your music, but you really live out your faith, right? What message do you have for somebody that is straddled the fence or either the unsaved that may want to do hip hop or whatever? What message do you say to that person?
For me, it just came down to like, I'm trying to find who I am. I'm starting to see, there's evilness in this world, and I'm like, there must be a good. So I'm searching for a good, and for me, it was like, even on my EP, I got a song called Gone Tomorrow, and it's like, I'm in this place where it's like, where is my home? Where is my family? Where are my people? And I didn't know if it was Jesus. I'm like, Jesus is the dude I learned about when I was a kid, like he doesn't seem cool, so I'm trying to find what's cool. And I'm at this point, like wishing on a star. But what I didn't really realize was that I was actually praying to the Father, the one who put the stars in the sky, and he found me, and as he finds me and as he shows me who I am, I start to realize the truth. I start to realize that the value.
Bro, salvation moment. Most of us in the faith-based community has that story, that testimony, that day that we went in the water, or we gave our lives to Christ. Paint a picture of the moment when you was like, okay, God, I'm yours.
Well, it started in that moment a little back when I was like, hey man, you want to meditate? And my friend says, well, what are we meditating on? I'm like, I don't know, get in touch with the universe. And he was like, well, if we're not meditating on Jesus, you're messing with some witchcraft, man. And I'm like, excuse me? I'm trying to better myself, And I'm like, what? And then he's like, bro, check this out, man. This is the Bible. You want to read the Bible? And I'm like, I don't read books. Like, why would I read a book? Not to mention that's the biggest book I ever seen in my life. Why would that make any difference? And he opens it up and there's highlights on all of the pages. And I'm like, this is different. This is weird. What is so important about this book? And then he started reading the words. I just felt like the words were just alive. They were touching my heart. They were reaching me right where I was. And I was like, wow, And my friend ends up just telling me, he's like, you want to give your life to Jesus? Have you ever given your life to Jesus? And I'm like, well, I got baptized when I was a baby, you know? And he's like, no, that's not giving your life to Jesus. And he kind of like explained to me that. And that day I went to bed and I just gave my life to Jesus. And I was like, and I used to wish all the time at 11:11, like I was like, oh, I wish I could go to the Olympics, or, you know, in that day, my wish changed. I changed my wish to, I want everything that God has for me and nothing more and nothing less. And to this day, and my wish turned into a prayer, you know. Yeah. And then I had that moment, because I started going into church. I'm working as a coffee shop. I'm working at the coffee shop. And the owner doesn't even know what I'm going through and was like, hey, you want to come to church? And I'm like, yes, I want to go to church, you know, because I started reading the Bible, and I start where you start. I started at the beginning of the book. And I'm like, I can't find Jesus. Like, he was reading about Jesus. I'm trying to find Jesus. Maybe I can find Jesus here. Yeah. You know, so I go in there, and he challenged me to come he challenged the whole congregation to come every week that month, okay. You know, and I was like, challenge accepted, wow. You know. And then I go home and I'm like, okay, what is it? What is, like, I'm following you. I want to be, I'm yours now, you know? And I'm like, what do I have? Like, I'm like, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I, you know? And God just started speaking to me in this moment. And he was like, everything that you're bringing to me right now, everything you're holding in your hands are the things that you've learned in this world to be your peace. You've been using them to fill your heart. But in reality, they're just bringing you up, and they're taking you further and further down. And it's like, not only is your health disintegrating, but the plans that I have in these moments are disintegrating with it, you know. And if you would be willing to just try it, step away from these things for a moment and trust that I can be your peace. You know, I won't just fill your heart. I'll fill the God-sized hole in your heart until it overflows, and you'll feel higher than any of these things. You'll feel more peace. You'll feel more, you know, and it won't destroy your life the way that those are. You'll start to look back and see, I'm restoring your life.
Problem Child, Kurtis Hoppie, app exclusive, NGEN Radio, NGENradio.com. Behind the music with you, bro. You're here because you are an artist, right? Mm-hmm. Your testimony is very powerful. We've talked to the unsaved. We've talked to the teens. When it comes to your music, after the sports and after the video games, you found music. Mm-hmm. And you started putting your faith in it. When you are in your creative space and you're about to put out the next song, take me through your Rain Man of how you do your process.
I go through seasons where it's like months I don't write nothing, and I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever write another good song. You know, I don't know if I'll ever get anything. And then suddenly it's just like, oh, I'm getting it. Literally, as we're driving over here, like, I got like not driving over here, but on this tour, we're over 7,000 miles into this tour. Yeah. And I'm just getting these songs in my head, getting this stuff in my head, and I just feel like waiting for moments that where you're just feeling that the inspiration and just going through seasons, and for me, obviously I was just asking God to move in my music and make sure that he has room in my songs, you know, because I want it to be authentically me and also authentically what he's wanting to do within it. So I'm trying to work with him while also painting a picture, because some people in this world can't relate to Jesus, but they might relate to you know. Yeah, and so to be able to share a little bit of me, and so people can be like, man, I never really liked Jesus necessarily, but that guy seems cool and he likes Jesus, you know. So hopefully that will give them an opportunity to even explore it. And if you give God a chance, he'll always move.
Bro, you come a long way from let's meditate, you know, into your words. Now, as you've grown, you're getting older, you find your rib, your good thing. Mm-hmm. And we see it on your social media page, bro. You share your wife, you're doing goofy stuff, you're doing swagged out, you share a lot. How did you know that was your good thing? That's your wife.
Well, I started dating my wife about 6 years after we met. Crazy thing was the way that we met was I was in the secular industry as a Christian. So I would go out and do kind of like what I'm doing, but I'm like, I just want to see people saved, you know. So I'm going in there with a purpose, you know.
Say that again so people don't miss that. You were going out and you were doing
concerts and shows, and I was literally going into bars and doing these types of things, but I just want to see people saved, you know. So before that, God showed me like, hey man, where I'm taking you, you need to make sure you get your lust, get your eyes focused correctly, you know. So I had made that decision in my life. So when I walked into these places, it's like when I see people who need Jesus rather than, you know, all these other things. And I'm doing a concert, and this girl just walks straight down the center, right? And I, even to this day, sometimes struggle with looking people in the eyes, you know. But God was like, look this girl in the eyes and sing these lyrics. And it was likely look inside and you will find your demons fighting. Angels high and mighty win the war with Jesus guiding. And after the concert, I got to minister to her. I got to speak life over her. And I signed a paper for her, and it said, God has amazing plans for you if you just be willing to listen. And over time, she ends up like plugging herself into church. She gets a hold of me, and she's like, hey, you know, you transformed my life, and I'm getting baptized. Just want to let you know. And I'm like, wow. She's like, would you like to come down? I get to come down, watch her get baptized, and we become friends for like few years. And we were both, she's freshly saved, you know, so I'm like, you know, she's growing, so my mind's not in that at that time. Yeah. And I'm focused on what God wants to do in my life, because he also showed me, hey, also where I'm taking you, you're gonna be pretty broke for a while. Right. So you should probably be a little more focused on my plans than, you know, who I plan for you to be with, you know. Yeah. and I'll let you know when that time is right. Yeah. And then I was in the studio in Boise, and we had hung out a little bit prior to that while I was doing a concert up in Centralia again, and my friend was like, that girl likes you. And I'm like, no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't like me, you know. And you ask her, she'll say, no, I didn't really like him. Yeah. but I'm sitting there, and I just felt like God kind of gave me a release to pursue her, you know, because I didn't really pursue anyone, because I'm like, you know, I don't know who God's got for me, you know. And I just felt this release to pursue her, and it went from me sending her a message maybe once a month, or, you know, or whatever, to like, I'm actually just gonna continually message her, and just actually start trying to court her, you know. And then I went up to get my boy Danny, who's with me right now, my best friend for 6 years. And I was like, I'm gonna get Danny, and I'm gonna get my wife. And I go up there, and Danny signs the paperwork. He's moving down we get our apartment together. And we're up there, and it's like, it seems like it's going pretty good. We take a picture together, right? And I put it on my Instagram. And she's like, well, that seems kind of forward. And I'm like, oh no. And I take it off. And then she's like, oh, now you took it off your Instagram. Well, that makes a statement, right? You know, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm doing nothing right. And she's like, you know, I'm just gonna leave. And I'm like, oh no, I just lost my wife. You know, and her friend's like, hey, Carly, come outside. So she goes outside. I'm sitting in the other room, like literally a tear on my face. Like man, I'm so bummed. And then she comes back in, and she has just this like different presence about her, right? And she's like, hey, I just don't know what to call us. And I'm like, well, I would call you my girlfriend if that was a thing, you know. And she's like, doesn't say nothing. I'm like, well, would you be my girlfriend? She's like, yes. And I'm like, wow, what just happened? You know, I find out after we get married that when she went out there, her friend was praying over her, and God gave her a vision of me walking down the aisle. And it was like, she's like, okay, I'm gonna give him a chance. And we started dating, and bro, that was that, man.
That is a whole song in itself. I love that testimony, man, for people. And I hope people that are watching and listening to it can visualize their good thing, because God has somebody for everybody, and they can show up whether at a concert or through a friend or whatnot. But fast forward, you get married, and like I was just saying, Kurtis Hoppie right here, app exclusive NGEN Radio. You get married and you put your wife out on social media. You're doing stuff. Everybody's not an artist, right? Yeah. So everybody's life is not like yours. Yeah. But speak to marriages right now on how important it is to be that team or put each other on display.
I guess everyone has their own thing. You know, for me, I feel like it was kind of important. I want to paint a picture of the way that we should honor our spouse and hold them to a high standard and hold ourselves to a high standard as husband. Just learning how to love God more than your other half. The more you guys learn to love God, the more you'll learn to love one another. You know, and the grace and mercy that He had on me, I want to make sure I'm having on her. Even when, you know, things are going up here, someone's got to go here. You know, so to fight to even sometimes be the first one to say sorry, or first one to back away and be like, oh wow, you know, and humble yourself, because when you do that, suddenly it's like she'll be like, oh, you know, and because when it's like this, it never helps, you know. So that's what I'm learning after I got married, was like, oh, I'm not as mature as I thought I was, you know.
Absolutely. So, and this season that you're in now, and we talk a lot, we talk on social media, where's your growth with Christ and the faith and the music and the marriage, and where are you going? What do you see in your next season?
I just feel like God, for me, like is if you follow what I'm doing, you see that my music has gone a little less rap, right? It's come a little more, like I would say mine used to be like rap with pop elements, and now I'm more like pop with rap elements. And I feel like God was just taking me there, right? Because he's like, listen, I see your heart for the Christian hip hop culture. I see your heart for what's going on this side. But what I want to do is I can use you over here on a whole different level, on a different spectrum. I can use you here. And then as I take you to certain places, I want you to take the platform I'm giving you. And there's people I've met in my life that I'm like, yo, this person loves God. Okay. This person loves God. This is a real one right here. Okay. And then to reach down and be able to pull people up. And he was like, where I'm taking you, I believe that I can help to build the culture at a greater level than if you're really just trying to be the culture, you know? Wow. So, and people, you know, it's my song, The Fall, right? It's like, God's like, jump, you know, I'm gonna catch you. And so as I'm going here, certain people, they're like, I don't know, or this or that. But it's like when God's speaking to me, it's like, it's something that they can't all hear it. They don't all understand it necessarily. So I just need to be willing to jump. And as I jump, God always seems to just catch me. And that's what He's doing here. You know, vegan burgers is number 10 on the Christian Hot Chart right now, and Billboard. It's showing like, yeah, I'm in control here. Just keep on listening for my voice, and when you get it wrong, keep on listening for my voice still, you know. I'll pick you up and make sure you're on the right track.
Bro, I love it. I'm so glad you're on this tour, Problem Child Tour. We look forward to seeing you more, to grow more. So you're watching and you're listening. We just went behind the music with Kurtis Hoppie, the Problem Child, just to learn a little bit about his faith, his marriage, stuff for teens and stuff in there for everybody, man. Thank you so much for stopping through.
Thank you, man. Thank you guys for having me, man.